Peace. What's good? How y'all doing? This is ZaZa Ali. Today is what's today? Wednesday, November 1st. I know it's November because it's Scorpio season. I mean, how could I not? November 1st, 2023. I pray that this message reaches you all in the best of health, spirit, and mind. I'm doing very well. This is going to be a brief video. I know you guys haven't seen me in a while on YouTube and on these public platforms, and for the best reason, to protect my mental and spiritual and emotional and physical well-being, especially in light of everything that's going on in the world. I have been saying that this was probably going to happen for some time now, and it is happening. Not what's happening in the world, but just in terms of me retreating on my content on social media. I am getting ready to do a video, probably live, maybe tomorrow evening, called Black America is Turning on Itself, because there's just a lot of things that I would like to bring to the forefront and pose to you guys. I don't know. I'm gonna show you guys a difference. I hate ring cameras, but can't sometimes you can't really tell how you're coming across until you watch the video later. So I'll just show you guys the difference between the ring camera or the ring light. This is the synthetic looking light, and then this is the other light. But I feel like it's bright enough in here for me to carry it on my own. I don't really like the lights, so but that's the difference. But I'm looking at the natural light in front of me, so that's why I'm positioned this way. Um, so hopefully I'm coming across, I don't look dull, because sometimes you never really know, especially when you have the blue light coming from the camera. That's neither here nor there, though. So maybe tomorrow I'll be going live. Tomorrow's Thursday, sometime in the evening, doing that particular conversation. And yeah, so be out on the lookout for that. But in lieu of that, I didn't want to be my first video where, I haven't been active online for some time, to be me talking about those particular things, because while I am in observance of what's happening in the world and what's happening with Black America in particular, I am also very internally focused, as well as focused with the content that I'm putting on my membership channel, with raising the vibration and with leaning into, the better parts of ourselves, and consciously creating content that is moving us towards the kingdom within, the kingdom of God, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to share with you guys, because I'm well aware that most of the people on my YouTube channel and on social media are not on my email list. I never really understand why, but I get it. People don't want to see that. Whatever. That's neither here nor there. And you don't have to be on my email list. But if you were, you would be getting access to some of the content that I have put up as of late. I sent out access to my headline news, one of my recent headline news episodes. I sent that out on my email list, and I also sent this particular email out. So yes, I do promote my business, and yes, I do promote things, my books and things that I have going on through my email list, but I also continuously put out content and send things that I feel like will be beneficial to you, whether you support, whether you purchase books, etc., or not. So I'll post the link, and let me just remind myself, for my email list, if you're interested in that. And if you're not, that's all good too. I am going to read this particular email called Climbing the Ladder of Yourself. At the end of the video, I'm going to have some info at the end of when I finish reading this, I'm going to have some information for those of you guys who have been interested in working with me for some time. I have one offer to work with me in a one-on-one capacity, and then I have a specific offer at a very low price point for those of you guys who may have wanted to work with me in the past, but couldn't for different reasons. I am very mindful and conscientious of, I said in a post recently on Instagram that America is the land where people have mastered the art of suffering in silence. And so I am very aware that that is a real serious thing happening in this particular culture, in American culture, Black people, but across the race spectrum. I've been talking about that in my membership channel as of late, how hard it's getting and difficult it's getting for people to function, and not just in terms of the financial aspect, but just mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. A lot of people around us are not okay. And, I'm not saying everybody, I'm not saying that pertains to you, but even if it doesn't pertain to you, are you aware and conscientious of the fact that that is the case? And are you aware of who in particular that pertains to? That's one of my superpowers that God has bestowed upon me. And I don't say that as a flex because it's a very heavy cross to carry. And it's one of the reasons why this particular year has been so difficult for me, is because I am aware of that in my personal life with the people directly around me, as well as myself. And then I'm also aware of that in terms of the collective conscious. So apply that times, 300 million people in America, or we could break that down to 40 some odd million just Black people in general, or we could multiply that times the entire planet, and what we've been through post 2020, where we are now, and what's coming ahead. So when I say I haven't been putting up content to protect my well-being, it's because I've been exhausted from what this past 3 years has taken from me, and what it's taken for me to to stay abreast and to research and to be mindful. And at the same time, always putting my son at the forefront and making sure that I'm in the best space that I can be to help guide him as he's becoming a young man, or he is a young man now. So, and then the weight and the stress of warning people while everybody's just kind of standing back and looking at you, warning and screaming and yelling, or, all of that, it takes its toll. So I'm in the grace period with myself right now, and all of my content, whether I'm informing about the difficulty of the situation, or whether I am talking about, mindfulness and meditation, and, being present and being still, and tackling the fear-based consciousness that the many, if not most of us, are dealing with. And on a collective conscious, in terms of the collective scale, our inability to deal with those that lack-based consciousness, or our lower self, or our fear, is why the world is in such a tumultuous situation right now. So the microcosm and how it impacts the macrocosm. So with that being said, I want to share this message with you guys because I think that it is a clear and concise assessment and analysis that I put into writing, and hopefully it will be beneficial to you in some capacity, climbing the ladder of yourself. And again, I have some information at the end of this for those of you guys who may be interested in me assisting you in doing so. All right, peace and love. Embedded in all aspects of the human experience, we find the concept of climbing or ascending, moving from the base level of ourselves to our highest potential. As spiritual beings, we can pinpoint the climb using terms like the higher and lower self. The chakras, an energy system that cultivates and regulates energy and consciousness as it moves through the body, takes us from the root chakra at the base of the spine all the way up to the crown chakra. The lower three chakras, root, sacral, and solar plexus, deal with the regulation of navigating the physical realm. As we grow in consciousness, these energy vortexes take on a more significant role. The higher chakras, or the higher three chakras, heart, throat, and crown, deal with the regulation of ascending in our spiritual awareness. Each chakra grows in significance as love plays a more pivotal role. Most people don't consider themselves as emotional beings. Emotions are considered an afterthought or a sign of weakness when emphasized in any significant way. This is a grave error, in my opinion, and a major reason for a lot of the despair we see in the world. Research has proven that the heart, the seat of emotions, has a powerful electromagnetic resonance that can be measured anywhere from 6 to 10 feet away from the body. The stronger the emotion rooted in love or hate, the stronger or weaker the signal. We can look at a sliding scale for emotions. At the bottom, we find fear, sadness, and worry. As we move up the scale, we find joy, passion, and optimism. Physically, this point can be proven in many ways. Acidity versus alkalinity, for instance, negative eating habits and lack of self-discipline makes for an acidic, unhealthy body under any circumstance. Moving up the pH scale, we find that the better we eat, the better our bodies perform. the better we look and feel. Lack of discipline leads to obesity, illness, and at times death. Having self control and motivation to take care of our body leads to physical well being, which improves our quality of life. We live in a mental world, so of course, these same rules applies to the mental self. The more we challenge our minds to think outside the box by reading and or learning new things, the more our brain creates neural networks which improve the quality of our thinking. This is a key factor in having clarity versus indecisiveness, good ideas versus no ideas at all. Anxiety and depression are rooted in negative thinking. Consciousness is rooted in thinking that Abundance consciousness is rooted in thinking that feeds the spirit or self versus tearing it down. These are just a few examples covering the four aspects of the self: mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical. Humans are suffering because we are not climbing. We came here to create. We came here to be inspired. We came here to manifest the potential of God in the flesh. As you may know, I have discontinued doing one-on-one consultations publicly. I still do them for my members of my membership channel, but I no longer offer them publicly. In the coming weeks, I will be launching different methods to work with those of you who are interested in working with me in a more direct capacity. In an effort to do just that in a cost-efficient manner, for those of you who may not be able to afford a higher price point, I'm launching a new 6-month program called Climbing the Ladder of Yourself. This will be an interactive group cultivation workshop series that will meet live once a month. No bells and whistles, just a continuity of connection, self-analysis, and growth. These meetings will be held in a group setting on my website and recorded for your ongoing analysis. The cost is $75 per month, and I am offering space for 10 people. If you're in my membership channel, maybe you didn't see the announcement. The cost is $65 per month, and we have 7 spaces left now. So 3 of those spaces have already been confirmed. Included with this program will be access to my membership channel for the duration, as well as a catered experience, implementing self-work based on where you are and where you want to go. Whatever you need to work on, wherever you're striving to go, let's do it together. I'm going to post the information for that particular Climbing the Ladder of Yourself group. I don't want to call it a group coaching session because that title, that language is just super watered down at this point. Interactive group cultivation workshop series feels better for me because it's not a coach. I'm not a coach. I'm not a life coach. And for anyone that may be interested in working with me on a one-on-one capacity, I have one spot, and I do mean one spot. I offered a special for a 5 for 5 a few months back, and I'm going to open that up for one person. That means 5 meetings with $50 off each particular one-on-one consultation. So you'll be able to schedule 5 meetings with me anywhere between now and February of 2024. You can schedule them at any time using my calendar. And that is for those of you who want a more intimate and personal interaction with me in terms of climbing the ladder of yourself. So I'm going to put the link for Climbing the Ladder of Yourself in the description. I'm also going to put the link for that one spot. When the one spot gets reserved, the link will no longer be active. So if you're interested in that, I would suggest that you take advantage of that immediately. In terms of, let me see, there was a couple of other things. I have an event coming up in Los Angeles on December the 17th. I'm going to post the link for that as well. I have a girls event that I am launching here in Los Angeles, a free event for girls locally that will be on January 7th. I'm going to be posting a separate video for that. And in terms of, well, outside of all of that, if you have questions about orders for Ancient People, I am right in the 23rd and a half hour of the print production process of that. I'm not going to get into any details of that, but needless to say, it's just been a lot more than what I originally thought that it would entail. And then in the middle of that, process, I got exhausted and had to stop and sit back and collect myself and then come back to it. So if you have a question about your order, please email me info@zazaali.com and I will respond to you there. Um, I hope that you are not so focused on what's happening in the world that you are avoiding yourself. I hope that you are climbing the ladder of yourself in all of those different capacities that I just mentioned, regardless to whatever is going on in the world, the difficulty and adversity that you've been experiencing as of late, maybe your whole entire life. I hope that you are still betting on yourself. I hope that you are still trying to figure it out. I hope that you're still working through it. I hope that you're facing your fears and dealing with your lower nature, however that is expressing itself in your life. I hope that you understand, and I hope that all of us collectively understand, because the world is in dire need of compassion and kindness now that is not, connected to agendas or have an agenda on the other end or an angle. I hope that you are okay. And if you're not okay, I hope that you are willing to admit to yourself and to acknowledge that you are not okay, because that is the first step towards actually being okay. And I hope that you are conscientious and mindful of the people around you and whether or not they are okay. Because the strongest people in your life are always going to say, yes, I'm fine. They're always going to, give the impression that they have it all figured out. And at this time, in this timeline, whereas we have all been so focused on the yang energy, meaning by any means necessary, do whatever we have to do to get it done, that island concept of me against the world, which has been my modus operandi my whole entire life. And, this year, all of that sort of came crashing down on me. And God and the universe has sort of forced me into the yin energy, into moving and operating in the world in a different capacity, which is embellishing and emboldening and empowering the divine feminine within me. So all things work for the greater good. And I'm very thankful, but it has been a very uncomfortable experience. And I can only sit here and sit in front of you and talk about it now because I won't say I'm on the other side of it, but I have definitely on my own pulled myself out of the darkness of my own mind. It's why I'm so good with working with people. It's why I'm so good with helping people with clarity, because I'm always focused and intentional and providing assistance, because these are things that I've been through. I've had to deal with myself, and not in an avoidance type of way. Most of the people in our world, in America in particular, have mastered the art of suffering in silence. I said that already. And, that is another way of saying that is self-avoidance. A lot of us have never been properly loved. And so how can you become an enlightened being if you've never been properly loved? And I'm not talking about, being in a relationship and, hashtag Black love. No, I'm talking about the fullness of what it takes to be a fully operating, fully functioning, fully aware and conscious human being. And because we've produced so few of those on this planet, the lower nature now is sort of in the driver's seat. The lower nature is in the driver's seat, as we see with what's happening in the Middle East, as we see with what's happening in government, as we see with what's happening in leadership, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of us have never been properly loved. And so if that applies to you, then that means that right now, especially right now, you need to be very mindful and very conscientious in discerning and deciphering what that means for yourself and being intentional about loving yourself. I don't want to get off on a tangent, so I'm going to leave you guys there because I said I wanted to do a short video. I'm going to post the information in the description if you're interested in working with me, if you're interested in attending my event, if you're interested in connecting with me on a way outside of social media, all of that information will be provided. And if not, I am very happy to have spent this maybe 20 minutes with you guys. I pray that you are doing well. I'm sending you love. I pray for your well being, for your peace of mind, and for your contentment of heart. Peace and love. ZaZaali.com, just in case I forget anything. Peace and love.